Hey, John.
What's that, Alex?
Do you know what I hate?
What's that?
Trying to come up with things to hate about this incredibly lovely movie.
Hey, Mr. Spaceman, won't you please take me along? I won't do anything wrong. Hey, Mr. Spaceman, won't you please take me along for a ride?
I really like this movie, John.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a fun one.
Yeah, so we watched Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
The Third Kind.
Yes. All right, so, I guess we'll go over it. Let's go with the scale. Close Encounters of the First Time. Go.
Yeah, it's okay. The First Kind, it's a little distant, but it's,
Second Kind. Go.
a little bit better. A little bit touched me a little bit more.
Third Kind.
Great.
Fourth Kind.
No, thank you. Too
Fifth
much.
Kind.
Way too much.
Close Encounters of the First Kind. Seeing things at a distance that could be unidentified, like a FO. Close Encounter of Kind Numero Dos.
International.
I don't really know. I think you you can really see that it's a spaceship.
I think that's like where it's like a dude nod. Like you see the spaceship, you're like, yeah, and then spaceship's just like, yeah.
Close Encounter Part 2, yeah, it's the sup motion.
Yeah.
Part 3 is actually seeing an alien, having interaction. Part 4 is abduction. And then I think the fifth kind is fucking. Is that when you fuck an alien? And I don't think there's a sixth.
What if is fifth getting fucked by an alien and then sixth is fucking an alien? Or is it?
No, I think it's all in one. It's kind of like the baseball system of measuring sexual things, like first base is kissing, etc. When you get to home run just means sex, it doesn't mean like, you got one put in you or you put one in someone.
Okay,
it's just kind of like, it's just...
It happened.
Yeah, it's you crossed your alien virginity.
So is the next one like having an alien baby?
How would you look this up? Alien...
Am I a space pregnant.biz?
Yeah, John Allen Hynek was the first one. So a UFO event in which a human is abducted by a UFO or its occupant. This type was not included in Hynek's original Close Encounter scale. Hynek's erstwhile associate Jacques Vallée, very famous in the ufology community.
That guy, that's who Francis Truffaut's character is based on.
Yes. If that's not true, then that's really accidental, because boy, is that just Jacques Vallée.
Well, according to Wikipedia.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
And then Close Encounter of the Fifth Kind, a UFO that involves direct communication between aliens and humans. This type is Close Encounter, was named by Stephen Greer, a famed kook. Close Encounter of the Sixth Time.
Wait. What was that description of him?
Famed kook.
Famed kook.
Yeah, he's a nut job. He runs a ranch where he claims that he can psychically call aliens down and have you view their spaceships.
So he's a famed kook, but he made this up, and this is real.
Well, keep in mind...
Like, we're going to add this to the scale.
Yeah, well, the extended scale. Yeah.
Okay.
Kooks can have good ideas. This is not one of them. Sixth kind is death of a human or animal associated with a UFO sighting. That is like a cattle mutilation or, like, I don't know if them killing a human.
Well, okay.
Now, the seventh kind, this is the kind. Creation of a human-alien hybrid, either by sexual reproduction or by artificial scientific methods.
Okay.
Now, artificial scientific methods, that's their bullshit alien science.
Mm-hmm. Not real...
Not good American science. Yeah.
That's like crystals and tinctures and stuff like that.
Exactly. Like, like Christian science or what's that stuff? Like yoga or...
Scientology.
E-meters. Or Mormonism.
So should we talk about the movie at all?
Or the timing method, or whatever that's called, or
the rhythm method.
The rhythm method. That's it. The timing method. It worked.
Yeah, no, I'm sure it did. What about the movie?
Sorry, I'm white. I don't have a rhythm method. Oh yeah, the movie. Sorry, I didn't get a chance to watch it actually.
Oh, so, all right. Well, this will be a quick show.
Okay, so Close Encounters of the Sixth Kind.
Third.
John, how many of us host the show?
9.
No? 2. What is 6 divided by 2? 3. So, on this here podcast, Close Encounter of the Sixth Kind, because there's 2 of us talking about it.
Okay, fair enough. I see. Wait.
And I'm pregnant with your alien baby.
Finally.
So...
Been tired of trying.
As I say every week, my expectations leading into the movie, I was like, oh, you know what? I think I'm not going to like this that much because I haven't seen it in a long time. It's going to be paced like a 70s film, which often very difficult to sit through. And it opens in a severe windstorm with people speaking French.
Yes.
And I went, well, that's a dumb way to start a movie. Like,
See, I was kind of on board with it. Like I had mentioned at the end of the last episode, I saw this once in my 20s. I did not grow up watching this movie. I was familiar with it, but I knew it existed, but I never really watched it. And I checked it out in my 20s, and I did not like it. But yeah, I watched it this time around. There's still issues with it, and I think pacing is one of them. But I do think it's a fantastic movie, and the fact that it did start with people in the desert speaking French, because ultimately this is a movie about communication. In a lot of ways. And I like that was sort of the entry point, is that you don't know what's going on. And then you have a French guy trying to talk to an elderly gentleman that spoke a different language.
Yeah.
And yeah, so, and some of that was kind of confusing, which I liked. We complained last time with Suicide Squad, which, by the way, I would like to make a quick addendum that I said at the end of last episode that the franchise was likely to go away. They're making another one.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if I was going to bring that up during this episode.
Yeah. No, I was reading about they're making another
full
one.
Announcement that Suicide Squad 2 is a go.
Jeez, because we could do this. We could still go back and do more about Suicide Squad.
Because here's the thing about Suicide Squad 2, and I'm announcing it before I bring it up to you. We're watching that in the theater and doing an episode on it.
Oh yeah, that's happening.
Okay.
I don't even this podcast could not even happen, and we're still gonna go see it.
Yeah.
But anyway, all right. So yeah, they're in the desert, and they're having trouble understanding. I forget this guy's name. Is it Lancome? I should look that up.
Lacombe. Yeah.
Because he speaks French, and Bob Balaban, who I only thought was an invention of the 90s, but I guess he was
Bob
around
Balaban
in the 70s.
around for a while. This movie filled with people. No, Lacombe is played by
Francois Truffaut.
Yeah,
famous French New Wave director.
Yeah,
huge influence on a lot of people.
Yeah, very big. And I only know him as a reference. Like, I'm not very familiar with his work, but I kept thinking that was Belloc from because he looks so much like the guy that plays Belloc in
that's Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Raiders of the It's Lost Ark. What an interesting choice for an actor, though. Weird.
Yeah, that seemed more like, I don't know, like Spielberg sort of flexing nuts a little bit. Like, I've got, Jaws went well. I got a little bit of juice to use here. I want to use one of mine. Like, I hugely respect this man. I want to work with him and but still control him.
Yeah. So I watched a documentary about the making of because I like this movie so much. I was like, boy, I don't have a lot to say about, as far as our normal technique of criticizing things in vaguely the order that they happen.
Yeah.
Very difficult because this one, there's not a lot to criticize. So I was listening to the process of how they got the cast. And Truffaut was basically, Spielberg was like, yeah, that'd be awesome. He would be great for this. But the Dreyfuss one is interesting. So because it's Spielberg, early Spielberg. Apparently he asked about 7 or 8 people and they all said no before it. Do you know who was first offered the role of Roy Neary in the film?
The dad from Alf.
No. Steve McQueen.
Steve McQueen?
Yeah.
Holy crap. Okay. Roy Neary is awful. His character is shit.
Yeah.
I hate that guy. Him getting on the spaceship at the end of the movie is a huge win for the human race. That guy blows. And I can't imagine Steve McQueen playing that role might have made him a different character. But Richard Dreyfuss, he's just an annoying little shit.
Yeah. So the story's interesting. So Steven Spielberg goes to a bar with McQueen. He calls McQueen. He's like, hey, his agent's like, hey, can you give him the script? I'd really like him, basically first look on this role. McQueen's like, yeah, interesting. So he meets him at a bar. Apparently Steve McQueen almost gets into a fight, has to break up a fight. This is the first time Spielberg's ever been in a bar. He goes, I've never been in a bar. I don't really like drinking. So it's like, he had 15 beers. I had 3. I'm kind of, I'm very drunk. And, it's quite a fun little anecdote. But McQueen turns the role down and he says, I can't cry on camera. So Steve McQueen, because he's basically not that good of an actor, turns the role down, which, one, kind of upsetting because it's like, you're super famous and you're just super famous and you suck at acting, so fuck you. But 2, what a stand-up guy. He knew he couldn't do the role. Spielberg actually goes, just cut the crying scene. He's like, no, this is a good role.
But that wouldn't have worked because Steve McQueen is way too heroic for that role. Because the role kind of demands that Roy Neary be a sniveling little shit.
That's what they get into in the documentary. So and this goes with Spielberg, I think maybe he's early on, or maybe just Spielberg is one of those really lucky filmmakers where he offers it to Pacino, he offers to Robert De Niro, to like all the big guys at the time. And while this Richard Dreyfuss is he's working with him because they're filming Jaws at the time, and Dreyfuss is like, no, I'm the guy. Like,
he is
hire
totally
me.
the guy. I can't imagine anyone else doing that.
Eventually, he kind of wins him over with some dumb Hollywood anecdote of like, and then I said this one thing, and Steven's like, you
one
got
weird trick
the
to get the
role.
Steven Spielberg movie.
And it's you will believe number 7. So they go through all this, and apparently the lead lady, Dreyfuss's wife, they didn't have her cast till like 3 days before the Terry Garr. They were filming her scenes on a Monday, and she got hired on a Friday, like because they had so much trouble finding somebody to fill that role, which is it's just crazy. A role like this is an iconic film.
Yeah,
it's so well known, and apparently it was just like at least casting wise was a clusterfuck. And how do you people were still saying no to Steven fucking Spielberg back then? That's crazy.
That again, sort of some of that feels like, and I don't know where this falls in his sort of pantheon of films, but it feels like a little bit like, well, I got juice, I'm going to try to really use it. I got it.
I think Jaws was his first movie,
right? But Jaws did good, right?
Oh well,
right.
But damn, I gotta let you get away with that bullshit.
What?
Jaws did good. Look, we invented language for a reason.
No, Jaws did
Jaws
done did good.
Yeah.
Jaws be nice, right?
I think Jaws, was considered the first summer blockbuster, but he was still one guy directed one film. So I think he's got, I made my first good movie juice, but not, he's not Steven Spielberg.
But I mean, the John Borman, I think it was Borman, did, because of Deliverance, got to do whatever he wanted, and he made Zardoz. So I'm just saying that he's got that.
Oh yeah, fair enough.
He's got the mojo that he's like, all right, let's see what I can buy with this. It is interesting because I do think that Terry Garr's character is a little bit of a thankless role because she's kind of like you do pity her, and this is something that I was really irritated with Roy Neary in this movie, is that so he's this Wichita lineman. Where it's like Muncie, Indiana, I think is
Muncie, Indiana, exactly. Yeah.
His characters, I really liked everything else. I really liked the Truffaut stuff, all the nerds figuring stuff out, the teams of scientists figuring stuff out. But his version, so Richard Dreyfuss's character, Roy Neary, is supposed to be more human element.
It's almost like he's an everyday blue-collar worker in Indiana whose life changes after an encounter with an flying object. And it was... Off the top of my head.
I hate him so much. I just don't like his character. And part of that is... I mean, he's just an ass. And when I first watched this in my 20s, I remember that was being my big issue with it. And it was lessened, but it's still there in that, so the initial scenes with him and his kids.
Yeah.
He's just a jerk to his kids. But I found that endearing because it also made me think of my own upbringing, where it's just he's kind of cracking wise with his kids. When his kids I don't know how to do this problem. He's like, I graduated, so I don't have to do this stuff anymore. That's your fault. And then kind of messes with his kid a little bit. I don't know. I actually did find that endearing, and I did like that.
Yeah, I didn't really read that as being a jerk. I thought he's more kind of the cool dad, instead of being the actual in charge.
Well, it
dad,
felt more like sitcom-y in terms of just I'm going to just crack wise rather than be the 1950s. Well, Beaver, let's work out this problem. And I did like all the family scenes, in that it's always noisy. It's almost Robert Altman-y. This movie had a huge Altman-y thing where there's all this other sound going on, and you have to sort of piece out.
Now
what's happening.
Let me get to this. Is one of my main detractions in this, and maybe it's because I've never really spent a lot of time around kids, even before the whole lawsuit, etc. We won't get into that.
No.
I haven't spent a lot of time near kids. I didn't understand a fucking word any of them said the entire movie.
Yeah,
the little kid at the other house, but I don't know anybody's name, but the other little kid, Barry. I didn't understand a word Barry said. Any of his kids. The only thing I understood was an inconsequential line from Dreyfuss's daughter where she goes, "There's a fly in the mashed potatoes."
Right.
I didn't understand a fucking word of any of it. And I don't know if I was supposed to. I don't know if the 70s they haven't invented microphones yet. But I was infuriated during those scenes. Anytime the kids were around, I was like, I hate this movie.
Well, yeah, some of them was, like I said, it was sort of this Altman thing where there's this layered sound, this other stuff going on. And an interesting choice with that was when he finds out he's lost his job, which we'll get into why that happened.
Yeah.
But the camera just focuses on the kids just doing kid stuff and yelling at each other and being crappy to each other. And then it pans over as soon as they hear what's going on. And I thought that was kind of an interesting little choice. Not one that I fully understood, other than sort of the overarching thing of communication and I think maybe more trying to establish his familial ties, which the movie also just kind of abandons.
Well, that's okay.
Much like Richard Dreyfuss.
Hey-o.
Hey.
This is where I'm confused by what I'm supposed to read in here.
Yeah.
Is him leaving is problematic. Spielberg actually discussed this in the documentary, that like when he was a young man unencumbered by family, that's why he wrote it that way. But when 20 years later was the documentary, he was talking about how he could never leave, to get to that. But when we're at the house with his children, etc., is it meant to be read as this is irritating? Is that why they layered the sound that way? That it's supposed to be cacophonous and like, is it meant to be a place where he wants to escape from?
Right. I mean,
I can't. It's not done well enough in either direction for me to know. Or is that the choice that was made? Because either way, it doesn't read within the film well enough.
Yeah, well, it's very ambiguous. It doesn't. It's certainly there. When he's like, you're gonna get murdered. I forget what he yells at the like, you're close to death, I think is what he yells at the kid. That's just like banging the doll on the side of the crib throughout the entirety of that first scene. And it doesn't read like, oh gosh, these people, I need to get away from them. It's more just like, this is this guy's life. This is what it's like to raise kids. It didn't feel like it was making a judgment call about it. It's just that this is happening, which I liked because it did soften. I think I noticed it more this time around, because it did sort of soften the blow of him leaving. But at the same time, I still thought he was a jerk for his life, like collapsing.
But this is the crux of my uncomfortability with this, and not with him leaving, but with. It's wrong that would soften it. Like, even if that's a really irritating family.
No, I understand.
Like, so there's. The choice of the way that family was presented, I think, is wrong in any direction. And I think it really kind of, I don't know, it throws his character motivation off.
Okay, so Roy Neary, because the UFOs are happening, he gets called in because he's a lineman to go check out stuff.
Well, not because the UFOs are happening yet. There's no note of UFOs in the film until he's been called in on an unrelated problem.
Okay.
The power has gone out, which the UFOs caused. But like, as far as our point of entry into the film,
right,
he has no interest in UFOs, nothing to do with it. He's just going to work to fix a power line. His boss is trapped in an elevator, so now he gets basically an on-the-spot promotion. It's Stranger to Strangeland thing where there's no expectation. He's now actually double Stranger to Strangeland because now essentially he's in charge, first time out as a boss almost, and then a fucking alien spaceship shows up. Yeah.
So here's a very, very minor thing that irritated me a bit. When he gets called out and he's driving and he's doing the thing where he's looking at the map, he stops, he's looking at the map, he puts it back up, starts driving again, and there's the guy that like needs to go around.
You're in the middle of a fucking road.
And he's like, yeah, you turkey. What was I supposed to get out of that scene? Other than to be irritated with that character. He's an asshole. He got called on it, and then he just yells at the guy. Am I supposed to be like, oh, yeah, we've all been there. I'm with you, sir. It seemed like a dick.
That was a weird scene. And also, and this is going to be the most vain I'll ever be on the show. I guess it's not vain, but the most shallow I'll ever be on the show. But I feel like the less you see his horrible teeth, the better. So having a scene where you see his dumb teeth screaming, you turkey, one, not exactly the most important emotional impact zone ever. And two, really, anytime his mouth doesn't have to be wide open and showing those awful teeth.
I've never really had a strong opinion about his teeth.
Big, gappy, just oddly shaped. I mean, they're not awful. They're just
like a bunch of tombstones in his mouth.
They're just uncomfortable. They're just uncomfortable teeth. They're not actor teeth. And that scene having no weight and doesn't need to be in the film and really showcasing those beaver things, those Hermione teeth. Deep, that's a deep Harry Potter cut right there.
Yeah, no, yeah. I guess I'm not as dentally oriented.
Yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things that bothers me in every movie he's in. He's got this big,
that's all I'm going to see.
It's double the Letterman gap. That's how deep his gap goes.
Wow.
It's Letterman with a super score 2 at the end.
Huh.
Because me writing there is going to help the audience at home figure
really
out what I
understand.
mean.
Yeah, they could just look at a picture.
Yeah.
Matt, look at a picture.
Yes. Hey, there's 4 dozen more people listening to this. So we're rocking it.
Not after this one.
Okay.
So he goes to investigate, and actually, that scene I really liked when he actually has the encounter where
I thought that was super effective.
Where it seems so he's looking at the map and he raises it up, and it looks like there's a car behind him, and he waves him over, and it's actually like a UFO, and it raises up. And yeah, just I thought that was super cool. I was never clear on why exactly the sunburn thing happened, but I also didn't need to be. You know what I mean? Like, oh, it's just a super bright light, fine, whatever.
That's from early UFO reports, is that it's radiation burns.
Oh, see,
yeah, that's a reference to early UFO reports. Yeah.
But again, I think the way this movie does it,
oh, it's fine.
It's fine. Yeah, it's just like, oh, that's alien, and that's weird.
Just because you happen to meet in a room with someone that's super dirty and in his youth was obsessed with UFOs as an expert.
so to digress here a moment, that was always one of my beefs with Magnolia, is that the movie is entirely about these connections. These crossed paths. And then this Rain of Frogs happened. And I've had people tell me, well, no, because the kid, he's like studying Robert Ford or Charles Ford or whatever the fuck the guy's name is.
Charles Fort.
Yeah, Charles Ford. Yeah. Like, I don't know who that is.
Yeah.
So the movie failed me because I have no idea who that is, and it's making this whole reference that I'm supposed to get. I'm not in on that. So
That's
it feels...
a good point.
Whereas this, like, because of that, like, oh, it's these early UFO things, they're getting that. I have no idea. But it also doesn't matter.
Yeah. That's a really good point, actually, because I really like Magnolia. But I
mean, that didn't make or break. That'd actually be an interesting one to do.
But
that didn't make or break it. But I also just really did not like that part.
I enjoyed it. I mean, it's not. Yeah, I can go either way, but I enjoyed it. But it doesn't like Charles Ford is a major figure in the kind of the weird world. Like,
sure.
The term Fortean is Charles Ford.
I don't know what that word means.
Oh, see, this is like that's.
Yeah.
He's a very big deal. So it actually wouldn't even occur to me that anybody wouldn't know who he is unless someone said, hey, Alex, think about this for a second. And then I'd go, oh, yeah. Probably like normal people have no fucking idea who the hell Charles Ford is.
Yeah. I want to go see a movie about Amy Mann songs. I should probably know about Charles Ford.
no, fair enough. But no, it's one of those things like, yeah, that probably is fucking super obscure.
But it's all just accessibility.
Anyway, yeah, no, that's a good point. The sunburn thing, I thought that was really well done. I did line of the movie, not line of the movie, but I did enjoy his wife just being like, well, I got you some spray fake tan. I really like, that was such a small little dumb moment.
And that's a thing, that's actually a thing that I love, is that sort of grand story told small. I'm not a huge fan of the movie Signs, but I like that they went, alien invasion movie told from just this family in Iowa. That concept. And so like, I understand that sort of that humanizing element. But overall, I much more preferred in this movie the nerds figuring stuff out. That was way more, just because it was, I don't know, it's also like, pre-internet, so they can't just like, enhance and they type something on a computer. And then, because I felt like with a lot of the Richard Dreyfuss stuff, it was almost like an episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm where it's like, just talk. And I understand that some of this is supposed to be like feelings that he has that he can't really explain, but basic conversation could have put a lot of this like really weirdness to bed, where he's just, when he's building mashed potatoes and like his son's crying, I didn't really get the emotional impact of that scene because that did not read as that weird to me in terms of like, so he's taking all his mashed potatoes and he's building this thing. Why don't I just be like, I keep seeing this image in my head and I don't know what's happening. It's more just like, things are happening and it's weird for daddy. I don't know. But this is also before the time when sort of perhaps when therapy was less of a regular occurrence in people's lives, many people's lives, I should say, where people didn't communicate that kind of stuff. But it did feel weird to me, where I'm like, just this could be solved so easily. Not solved, but mitigated a bit.
Yeah, I mean, two things. One, that scene was completely fucking stolen from Weird Al's UHF. Fucking line for line, even this is important, this means something, directly stolen. I know it's a small film, but that's bullshit.
Yeah.
Two, you make a good point, but I think there's a certain, and I don't think that it's done well. I mean, it's not done poorly, but I think the concept is that he is kind of going batshit. Is that these are compulsions less than, it's not that he's distracted and going, hey, that thing that I imagine, let me carve it out of mashed potatoes. It's that he is having an all-consuming compulsion to do something. It almost like, well, why don't you just stop counting to 3 on the table, sir?
Yeah.
Well, no, you can't just count to 5? No, of course. Like that, like trying to talk somebody out of an OCD or whatever, you can't get them to explain, like there's no, like the reality of words and explanation is completely different from the reality of what they're experiencing.
I guess
in
my
their
beef,
brain.
my beef is that there's no attempt. There's no attempt for him to like try to explain. It's more just like, like daddy's being weird. I don't know. Like, there's no even, and I like I said, might just be that was more of the quiet, I forget, Tony Soprano would always reference this guy, not Cary Grant.
Steve McQueen.
But that the strong silent type.
Yeah.
But so something that was kind of driving me nuts, because it's also that you see so he's affected by it. And then the actress that is, I forget the character's name, but she was the mom in the Christmas Story. And her son, Barry, which her whole character is kind of bizarre. She sleeps in jean shorts. That shouldn't happen.
Yeah.
And
very erect nipples for a warm night.
So she becomes obsessed. So she sees the aliens as well because Barry gets abducted. And that whole scene was really cool. And it's one of those things that some of these things that now seem cliche, where like the music, the down-tempo music playing as record things. I don't know if that was the case then. People were like, oh, I've seen that before. But I thought it was very
the
effective.
Animated toys and whatever. Like that's kind of a couple things there. One, how many loud toys did you buy that little monster?
Oh,
Jesus Christ.
That kid has the greatest toy in existence. It's a Frankenstein whose pants fall down and then his face turns red.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even see
this
that.
This is a toy because
awesome.
like it's this like Frankenstein monster and his pants fall down and then the head lights up red and it like moves its arm.
That's fantastic.
What the fuck is that?
I don't know, man. It was the 70s. 2, the most benign use of monkey with a symbol in any movie ever. Because every time that monkey with a symbol shows up, it's evil. And this one was just kind of like a whimsical scene of all the toys coming to life.
No, it was nice. It was it's nice to see some positive representation of monkeys with symbols
and
for a change.
Just small. That lady didn't try to keep him from being abducted.
No,
very
she did
hard.
not.
Like she was really trying to get that kid lost.
She was.
But to be fair, we've actually skipped an entire chunk, which we were concerned with going out of order. That's the second time. The first time, the kid runs away and finds himself on the road. That's the meet cute with Richard Dreyfuss.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. The second time the aliens
introduces
come
the best character in the movie.
Oh, whistle guy?
Yes.
Yeah.
I believe so. That's the dude with the long hair.
Yeah, that whistles. Yeah. He whistles coming around the mountain. Yeah.
So right. So when he gets when the whole thing happens, when he sees has the close encounter or whatever, he's kind of chasing them. Richard Dreyfuss is chasing them.
Coming around
the bend.
The mountain.
Oh, when he comes.
And that's why the guy was whistling it. It's all interconnected.
Oh.
Yeah.
But all these people are there.
Xander Clegane.
To see all these people are there apparently to see the alien.
Yeah.
Whatever, at least some guy in his weird hillbilly family. And the weird little boy Barry has run off, and Richard Dreyfuss almost hits him, so he gets to meet Jillian.
Jillian is her name, yes.
Sorry,
just really quick aside, no name in this movie stuck with me.
Other than Roy Neary, yes.
Even Roy Neary, I only remembered because I read it just now, and you keep saying it. Every name is like fucking water. Like, these are poorly chosen names. Sorry, please continue.
Well, anyway, so he meets this woman. They see the spaceships come down, do their stuff, which I like their spaceship design in this movie a lot. Like just you mainly just see the lights. You don't get an overall sense of the shapes until the end. But I really liked how that played out. And so that sets in motion essentially his obsession. He starts getting these images in his head of a mountain.
Yeah.
Or that kind of shape, a triangle shape. He can't figure out what it is yet. In the interim, the French dude, Lancôme.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Yeah, Lacombe, I think it is. Yeah.
Which that is my favorite shot in this entire movie.
Which is French for the comb.
He is where he's giving the speech about the tones and first of all, the scene with the tone. So the international stuff that's happening. Yeah,
wait, let's back. I'm interrupting you, and because I have a point here and we're out of order. Let's reestablish.
Yeah. Okay.
They go to India, and this is another point of the very few down points in this movie. Lacombe goes to India with his translator. There's audio from India. Sorry, let me put it that way. That part of the movie made very little sense to me.
Yes, although I did enjoy it.
I liked it, but they didn't establish enough what happened. They just had sound engineers show up on scene.
Yeah, so he's there, and this huge mass of people is doing these 5 tones.
But that they had heard.
Right. That apparently the UFOs had visited, and they had heard them.
That's fine, but how did that jump to hand signals? That's the part that lost me.
Because it's this whole. I forget the guy's name, but it's this teaching thing where like basically it's hand signals that represent the like do re mi fa sol la ti.
Yeah.
I'm not. So he does that, and it kind of doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's what I don't really understand. They heard a tone.
Yeah, they heard
recorded the tone. Why did the hand signal come? I just I kind of get it in a abstract, I'm not an idiot way, but the movie didn't connect those two
because
things.
it's kind of human centric in that it assumes that aliens have opposable thumbs and digits that they can, because imagine if they were just like gaseous blobs and you're just like, hey, look at these flanges doing things. Like, I have no idea what that is. listen to these tones.
They are showing off a bouncing of the fifth kind.
Yes, destroy them.
Yes.
Yeah, so I didn't really understand that. But it did lead to my favorite scene, which is when he's then back describing to whoever, like the brass,
Yeah.
which for some reason I was very touched isn't the right word, but I loved that, like, it's this huge auditorium and just the first 2 rows are
I thought that was
taken
a
up.
really good.
I don't know why I really like that, but I like, because it felt like big and important, but also
Yeah, no,
nah.
I like that. I thought that was a really nice touch.
which is routinely what happens with these scientist guys. And we can talk about that when we talk about the landing scene. But the guy, my favorite character almost in any movie ever, is the guy running the tape recorder. And they keep showing him, and he's so excited to press a button.
he looks.
He
like,
is the best man ever.
Here's the thing: is he looks like the redhead guy from Revenge of the Nerds.
Oh, Timothy Busfeld. I don't know his character, but
dude,
yeah.
but he does that
Yeah.
scene where he's playing the music.
Yeah.
Like I just really felt like that's that exact character.
Yeah.
This big hair.
But just that, yeah.
yeah.
He's like so excited to be like, check this out.
Hilarious scene. The point I thought you were going to make is I love that this is the most important thing that's happened in human history. I mean,
Yeah.
it's on the bleeding edge. I mean, it is probably the most significant thing to happen to humans ever. And he starts off with a bad joke going, so you speak French?
Yeah.
Small moment, but I thought, again, this whole movie is these small humanizing moments where I'm like, that is a beautiful thing to write.
Yeah, that's my whole. I don't want to jump too far ahead, but that's my whole thing with the scientist. Is the scientist thing is not about like, look, we've discovered this alien life. It's more just like that thing we did worked.
Yeah.
that's cool, and I like that.
Yeah.
and then it's so Richard Dreyfuss, because he experienced this stuff and it kind of blew his mind. He wasn't answering any other calls that was coming in from his job that night, and he got fired.
Just a small, maybe I didn't pay attention enough. He's asleep. His job calls him in because the grid goes down.
Yeah.
He drives out to somewhere. The grid comes back up. What did he get fired for?
I don't know. Did the grid come back up?
Well, it did. They showed it.
Okay. Oh no, it did.
Remember they're
Actually,
on the-
yeah.
yeah.
Because that's a fucking great scene. Yeah, I don't know what I'm
So
talking about.
the
That was
fuck
really
is he
cool.
So what the fuck is he getting fired for?
He just wasn't returning their calls.
Well, fuck you, dude.
And they are.
You mean I just drove out here single-handedly, turned the fucking grid back
Yeah.
on, and you're gonna fire me for this?
You did not return my call.
Look, my name's Roy, whatever the fuck.
Neary.
I'm Roy goddamn Neary.
I felt like you were Roy Farley.
Yeah. Oh, my bad. I literally didn't know how to respond.
Yeah,
there.
no, 'cause it was so bad.
It broke my brain.
Yeah.
And it wasn't
That's what I
that.
like to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he gets fired for some reason.
Inexplicably,
Yeah, just because he wasn't communicative enough. Like they're just trying to establish a lot of stuff in that first that first bit. So that sort of starts Roy's descent into madness. But I do very much like the concept of, so apparently these aliens just implanted in these people's brains that saw this stuff the idea of
Devil's Tower.
Tower, but like without actually being it. The closest thing that I kept thinking about was John Carpenter's Prince of Darkness, where these people get, this is a message from the year 1999, and their communication isn't strong enough. They can only send stuff to their unconscious mind. So we're hoping you remember this is a dream. That it's kind of cloudy, but I love the idea that they sent this information to the least creatively talented man ever. Like he can't make Devil's Tower, which is a pretty simple shape.
Yeah.
But he just can't, whatever it is. And I get that as someone that can't really draw or do music or has any sort of discernible talents. I appreciate that. But I also just like that it was so just far beyond him, and he's losing his mind because he's trying to make something out of clay and it's just not happening. Whereas Jillian has all these drawings.
Yeah, she's an artist. Yeah.
Yeah. But at the same time, you don't know what Devil's Tower is? I know it's before the internet, but I knew what Devil's Tower was.
Well, let me posit this, John. Do you know that because of this movie?
because I never saw it when I was a kid.
But what I mean is Devil's Tower famous to the lay audience because of Close Encounters of the Third Kind?
Possibly. I grew up in the Midwest, and so like we learned about other things that happen in the Midwest. And so Wyoming isn't that far away from Nebraska. And so we learned about geography.
All right. Let me reposit this for somebody that lived far, far away from there.
Right.
I think in my life that if this movie never came out, not necessarily like I didn't learn about Devil's Tower from this movie,
right?
But if this movie never came out, I don't think that its popularity would have reached me where I grew up. I don't think I ever would have heard about Devil's Tower.
Like the same way that certain movies sort of elevate a song. Oh yeah, no, the 80s, yeah, it was this song that you only know because of this one movie.
Yeah. Or there's a place in Canada that looks like a Native American listening to an iPod. Have you ever seen that? It's just the way
No.
this tributary river system goes. It looks exactly like a profile of a Native American, and it looks like he's wearing earbuds.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it's brought up in Alien reference. It's brought up with the face on Mars that we know for sure that Native Americans didn't carve out that river system
Right.
to make it look like one of them listening to something that won't be invented for 1,500 years. It's periodolia, it just looks like it. But it's one of those things where I only know about that because I'm a weirdo, but like, I'm sure people that live in that area are well familiar with it. So Devil's Tower, long way around.
Fair enough.
I don't know if it's famous, I think it might be famous to the rest of the country because of this film.
But so in the context of the movie anyway.
Yeah.
He seems to know what it is to some degree, or at least because when he's like building his clay thing and he accidentally tears the top off.
Well, he references National Geographic at one point. So my thought is that he's a person that reads that and maybe that was featured in there. Yeah.
But he doesn't like 100% get it. So when he tears the top off, he's like, oh, wait, no, this is right. This is what I was trying to do.
Yeah.
I like in the sense that it speaks to the whole like overall theme of communication and all that. But it was just kind of, I did like the concept of just like the least artful person ever they try to communicate with.
Yeah. Wait, just because we're on that scene, that's actually my note of I love that scene because that's him accepting he's going insane.
Yeah.
It's Richard Dreyfuss saying, I've gone insane. I didn't actually see anything. I need to figure my life out. I'm calling my old job saying I'm putting this shit behind me.
Yeah.
And that's when the TV images show up.
No, because that's later.
That is that scene because he calls his.
No, because we're talking about two different things. I'm talking about when he builds the smaller one. And then he's like,
my bad.
Because that's when he goes like super nuts and builds the huge one, which I have beef with that.
Okay, yeah, At this point in the movie, all that's established is nerd guys are doing nerd guy stuff, but there's no big discoveries. They're just kind of, we cut back to them.
Yeah.
I think they found out what Devil's Tower is.
Well, what they're doing, so they get the tones. We cut back to the nerd guys. Yeah. They get the tones, and then they start shooting the tones into space.
Yeah.
And they get these numbers back. And Bob Balaban, who's only still around because he speaks French, which I like that they included that because there's no reason for Bob Balaban to be there.
Yeah.
Because he's a cartographer. He mentions that like, yeah, I'm just a cartographer because it makes sense when they're like trying to find the stuff in the desert. But they're like, he's apparently the one guy that speaks French. And they're like, well, you've seen this, so let's keep you on board rather than having to clear someone else and make sure you don't say stuff. He's like, yeah, these are clearly coordinates. And so that's when they figure out, oh, it's Devil's Tower. And I love that thing where like they're getting the globe out from the guy's office.
Yeah,
like, that's like a really expensive globe.
That's a $2,500 globe. Yeah,
and I just like, they're like, yeah, I don't care. And so like, I actually kind of wanted more of that in the movie of just like the nerd guys figuring stuff out and like trying to talk over each other. Not so much like overwrought, like this is so important for the human race. It's more just like, oh, cool. Let's discover something. It's more just like finding out you can blow up a wall in Zelda. So they figured that out. So they know it's Devil's Tower, or at least the area. Whereas Richard Dreyfuss is still struggling with whatever images are being sent to him. When he has, that mashed potato scene is, like you mentioned with UHF, is famous. But like I said, I didn't get the emotional weight of it other than it upset the kid that his dad took too much mashed potatoes. Everyone's just kind of silently watching it.
I think it's that his wife was asking him something because don't they cut to kind of his perspective and you hear her voice kind of like wah-wah'd out?
I don't recall that. I just remember him like taking all the mashed potatoes and everyone's kind of silently watching him because like he takes and then he's like, oh, mashed potatoes.
Oh yeah, I think I'm conflating two scenes, but yeah. But either way, it's
and then that's when he's like, well, Daddy's going through some stuff, and then you see the kid like crying, and it's not like, I forget what they call that, but where it's like they're both in focus in different planes.
Oh, it's called filmmaking.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
They use a camera.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. They pointed at people.
It wasn't happening in my room. Okay.
No.
That changes a lot of my opinion about this movie.
Yeah.
So he's descending into madness, and then I'm going to jump ahead a little bit, but so he kind of has this like redemptive, like we talked about, this sort of redemptive, like, okay, no, I'm going crazy.
Yeah.
I've been trying to build something with this modeling clay and it's not working. But then he tears off the top. He's like, oh God, wait, no, this is it. And then somehow, because of that, he decides that he needs to pull up all the dirt in his yard and make a giant version of it.
Yeah.
And the thing that kills me about that, and I guess it's just that he's his mania or something like that, but him throwing everything through the window. It's like, you don't have a fucking door?
Yeah.
Like, I'm depressed as fuck, and I get miserable and weird and whatever. But I don't know. I still have basic decorum. But I wasn't visited by aliens, though. That
was odd. Though it did give me my favorite line in the movie where the little kid goes, "Can we throw dirt in my room next, Dad?"
Yeah.
Which I love because that so would have been me if that were my family movies.
Well, and the weird thing, and I guess, I don't know, Indianans chime in here, but random lady owns ducks?
Yeah, that was weird.
Yeah, like, well, I need chicken wire. And then, I need to have chicken wire here. His mania just felt so bizarre to me. Not in this way of like, oh, he's really losing it now, but more just like, wait, what's happening?
Yeah. I liked that scene, but it was weird. It's more just I like how kind of, I don't know, just the comic relief of it, and that him diving through the window at the end, I thought was fun.
But I guess, I haven't really stressed this point enough, but I just found him so unlikable. Like, I really don't like Roy Neary.
Yeah.
He's just irritating, and this little worm of a guy. It's just, bleh. I didn't identify with him as much as I kind of loathed him. I'm glad there's this human element to it, but he's just a shitty dude.
Yeah. Also, but so during his madness, and again, we're both touched in the head with a bit of the old
Smart.
wacky,
Yep.
is what they say. Why don't you just build it outside?
What?
Why don't you just build it outside?
Yeah.
See, you bring up there's a door to his house.
Yeah.
I would mention there's a big ass yard.
Yeah.
Outside. You can just build it in your yard.
And I get like, well, he's going mad because of this, but it's also like, no, he's not. He's having trouble like acknowledging this stuff in his head, but it's not dictating his behavior. It's not like he's compelled, like through some brain parasite, to go stand in the yard every night at 11:15 p.m. It's just he has this image in his head, and he's choosing to be a dickhole about it.
Yeah.
That lady drew pictures. He's actively being a dick.
Well, to be fair, that lady drew pictures and then barely defended her child. So I mean, she was kind of a dick too.
Yeah, no, fair enough.
She put like no effort into saving her.
Well, she got distracted, but that is at least an arguable point.
No, if you're trying to save your child, you're not going to be distracted by anything.
Fair enough. Well, maybe
like, she was holding him at one point. At one point during the child abduction, do you go, yeah, I guess we'll put you back down now.
Well, she just got distracted and forgot about the dog door because you never see that they own a dog.
Yeah. But also, why'd you put your kid back down?
Right.
Why'd you do that?
No, fair enough. But I'm just saying that, like you said, like there's the whole outdoors. There's all the stuff that he's like, no, I gotta throw through the window and do this because I'm obsessed. And fine. I don't know. Yeah, it's just this thing where I'm like, I think he's a dick. Like, is it that later when he's driving to the location, how he's driving and has the map in front of him?
Yeah.
You fucking asshole. You're on the road.
Well, and let me just defend him just a little bit.
No.
It was the 70s, and basically, like, literal drinking and driving was kind of okay back then.
Oh, all right.
Like, I mean, you're allowed to, like, pop up a tall boy and drink. No, I'm not saying it's right, but I'm saying I think a lot of that is very colored by our modern perspective of how driving safety worked.
Well, it also, like, the fact that when he's driving to there, when he puts on the map, that he's at the barricade, basically, that he's been looking at that map for a real fucking long time.
Yeah.
Because you got to see that stuff coming.
So let's just... since we're on the kind of that area, Benny getting kidnapped by the aliens.
Barry,
whatever.
Yeah.
Let's just pause right there. John?
Yes.
Why did Barry get kidnapped by the aliens?
Good question. Why did any of them get kidnapped by the aliens?
I think that's two questions. Because they've been gone for a while.
Yeah.
So it's some kind of study of humans. I can think of 1,000 reasons why you'd want to like abduct people and talk to them, blah, 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 blah. Why, after you've shown yourselves to humanity, would you take a kid for a couple days?
I'll posit this: is that so you have, and this is clear, just as me just bringing this stuff to it. I don't think this is explained in the movie, but so you have these people that you're trying to communicate with. You're sending these psychic messages to.
Yeah.
Barry seemed very responsive, and so maybe they were like, okay, well, we're connecting with this kid. Let's figure out why that is.
For 3 days, though? I mean, I guess not. Here's the thing, is if he didn't leave the ship at the end, my question I wouldn't ask. Because
they weren't necessarily planning to be like, okay, they're going to figure this out. You know, this Barry was an insurance policy. They're just like, well, let's hold on to this kid. Like, we're connecting with something. In case this doesn't work, let's figure out if we can maybe have a kid communicate. But so because of that, so this brings me to one of my favorite scenes in the movie.
All right.
Which is, so they go to see like the I don't even know what it is. The Department of Defense, the Air Force or something.
Oh, yeah, that weird like round table thing.
Yeah. So they basically call on all these people that have claimed to see UFOs and want to put their minds at ease about like, and they don't do it very well, but they want to put their minds at ease about what they've seen. And it's the guy shows a picture like, this is a UFO. And they're all like, see, I fucking told you, I knew it. He's like, no, it's a pewter plate my kid's through. And then I want the movie to follow this guy so bad. The dude, the whistling guy, they're like, no, I know what I saw. And then the guy pipes up, like, I saw fucking Bigfoot.
Yeah.
And he sort of deflates everyone's thing by being an insane person. But the smug look on his face of nailed it when he sits down made him my favorite character.
When you said your favorite scene in the film, I immediately, like, if you had given me I would have gotten it in one or two.
Yeah.
Because, Jesus, that was hilarious. And then him going, Sequoia National Forest. 36-inch
yeah,
long
when he shoves the thing down. Oh, I just love the way that was shot too. Like when it falls
that
down.
guy was fucking brilliant. Yeah, that was really like one of those. And then Dreyfuss did such a great job of just getting deflated, of just going like, "Ah, fuck, this is the room I'm in."
Yeah, which at the same time that because it happens around then. So Barry's gotten kidnapped and just kind of, I don't want to say easy, but just how sort of quickly Jillian kind of just accepts it.
That was weird.
Like, she's not just like destroyed as a human being. She's sad, but
and not really even all that.
But like,
sad,
she kind of hides or whatever because it's this weird thing. Like, you don't know what's going on. She's kind of in shock or something like that. But I don't know. You never get the sense that it never feels like this great loss.
Yeah,
you're just supposed to supply that yourself.
My thought there was maybe because she's under like an alien influence, like she's under this compulsion, that it's like a not to be too grandfalutin, that it's almost like a heroin addict kind of thing where all other things fall to the side, that she's so obsessed with.
Sure, that's actually like that's a good read of it, but the movie doesn't tell you that. I think you're bringing that to it.
Well, I've done a lot of heroin.
No, I understand. That's why I'm saying you're bringing it to it.
Yeah.
Heroin, any movie you see is what I'm saying. No, but like
this episode of John O. Takes Up brought to you by Black Tar.
you're extrapolating a lot of stuff from it that the movie doesn't tell you.
Yeah.
And I think that's fair, but I don't think the movie does that. I don't think the movie is like, she's like, well, no, like my kid's
totally,
gone. I just need to draw these. That happens, but the movie doesn't like underline it or underscore it. And while I like some of the ambiguity of the movie, that part of it, it didn't really work for me.
Also, I was a little lost that scene where she's getting like hounded by photographers and Richard Dreyfuss is there.
Yeah. Well, that was a weird, because that just tried to set up like, oh, well, they're at the same place.
Yeah, that was just weird.
Yeah,
it
was like Jillian, and then Terry Garr's got her glasses down.
And just kind of awkwardly done. I think because we're gone out of order. I think this is where his wife leaves him because he starts building the big Devil's Tower.
Yeah. So soon after that is when I think that's when he making a huge spectacle. Out of everyone. And while for comic effect, it is funny to watch him at the end like climb back in through the window. Like we said, why is he even doing it inside or whatever?
Yeah.
I really did like the scene though where you have his big thing and he's trying to get her back on the phone and you don't see her. You just hear his side of the conversation of trying to get her back on the phone, and you're seeing the news report about Devil's Tower and the fake story the government has set up, which I liked that whole scene where they're talking about the story they're going to set up. And the government in this movie.
That's the point that I was making earlier, where I thought he was talking to his job. I thought he was trying to get his job back.
No, he was talking to her. Yeah.
Oh boy, did I misread that. I forget that seems terrible.
So I like that because for being sort of almost one of the quintessential alien visitation movies, it does a lot of things that stereotypically they don't. In that the government in this movie is okay. Like they're not evil. They're not like ready. Like even E.T. Like they're not ready to shoot everyone down with walkie-talkies. So they're trying to figure out, okay, well, we need to see this. Let's make up this fake story. What's going to work? It's an outbreak of something. What's an outbreak of? The plague. It can't be the plague.
Yeah.
Like that was
that scene.
Again, like I like the nerd stuff. I like them like trying to figure this stuff out because it felt benign. It didn't feel like, oh, the people can't know. It just more like, well, we got to figure out what's going on here.
Yeah.
Let's just solve this equation. So because of that, they make up this fake story about something happening. I forget what the outbreak was.
It was a train that was carrying some kind of
so there's
nerve
something
agent or
in the air.
Yeah.
But I did like the scene of him being on the phone to his wife and the news story is happening and these near misses of him almost
really
seeing
like
what it
that.
is. And like that was just fun, and it was just one solid shot.
And I loved her reaction because it cuts to her seeing the same news story where she like dives across her bed and almost like hugs her artwork. Yeah, that was cool.
So that causes him to head out there, and the aforementioned reading the map while driving scene.
Yeah.
And some of this movie, the middle part of it drug a little bit for me.
Yeah.
In that, like, I know you already know that the aliens are there. Like it's confirmed. You've seen these UFOs yourself. It's not this question of, well, what's he going through? Is it actually an alien or not? So you understand his frustration. It wasn't like a mistake because you understand his frustration of like, no, I've seen this. I don't know how to articulate it. But at the same time, there's a little bit like, get on with it. Like when he's at this point in the movie, I was kind of like, just something happened now. Like, get there already.
Yeah. That them meeting up in the kind of staging area, right towards the end of that's where I thought the movie re-picked back up.
Yeah.
You know, where he meets her kind of on the train thing, and, you know, like,
right
towards the end of that's where it's like, oh, this movie's getting good again. Like,
yeah.
But yeah, it did. There was this lull in the middle where, I was not necessarily losing patience with it, but I was like, this is, it lost steam a little bit. Yeah.
But I did like his whole interaction. And again, like the government being, all right. When he meets Lancome or whatever, like...
Oh, wait, before that, sorry. He meets Carl Weathers first.
Oh,
why the fuck did you do... Carl Weathers...
I totally just like blanked that out.
Carl Weathers was the first security guard he runs into when he goes in the closed off town of the way.
I have been trying to draw Carl Weathers ever since I saw this movie.
This is important.
This is important.
Means something.
Now I get it.
Oh, is that why you invited me to dance in the sand and surf to try to make your running faster?
Yeah, that's why.
Oh, well... Well, it's getting strong now. Eye of the tiger.
Yeah,
Carl Weathers. Sorry, I actually have it just Carl Weathers with an exclamation point as my entire line.
So when he meets Lancome again, like I just like that the government isn't necessarily like that evil, but also the thing where Richard Dreyfuss is like, I want to meet someone in charge. It's like, well, Mr. Lancome is in charge. He's not even American. Like that was some good. Yeah.
Well, let me stop you here because this is something I should have mentioned earlier. Who the fuck is Lacombe?
Yeah, he's a UFO. Okay. It's clearly the UN. The UN is involved because like there's all those UN flags in the trucks or something when they're going across the desert.
Is that what it is? He's the UN
ambassador. He's some sort of
okay,
envoy.
Because I was a little confused by that because he kept being like in charge-ish,
yeah.
You know, kind of in charge with a shrug. But okay, so he's a UN
but
representative.
He is, and again, like I kind of like that when the scientists are trying to figure stuff out, and he's like, no, listen, I've got this thing on the whoever he's talking to or whatever on the phone line, and no one is paying attention to him. So it's not like he has authority exactly.
Yeah.
You know, again, he's not this evil general that's like, you know, pounding his fist. He's just some guy that also wants to know what's going on.
Yeah. I found that scene where he's screaming, "Écoutez, écoutez."
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
that
listen. Yeah. Because it's this part where, to me, the wheels are spinning a bit. Because he gets taken in by the government, and then they're like, no, put this gas mask on. It's poison. You shouldn't be here. And then he sneaks away with her.
Oh yeah, I kind of forgot.
Because I'm just like, just get on with it now.
Yeah, that did drive. I completely forgot. Oh yeah, and then that weird tertiary character that escapes with them for no good reason.
Yeah,
Larry or whatever the fuck that was. Yeah.
So I mean, other than to set up that there's other people besides the two of them that are seeing this stuff, which fine, like that's cool. But it's finally like they've had the landing site all set up, and I guess I missed. Like that they're like, no, tonight it's happening. Like they have the location. I just didn't know that were they just those ships showing up every night?
I don't think they established. I think just every night they're playing the tones, and this just happened to be the night where like the big thing happened. I think because they do the big round of applause after the first go back and forth. I think maybe that had happened before, possibly. But then I think it's Richard Dreyfuss being on the scene was the thing that spurned them landing for the first time.
Well, so what I really liked about that is so the ships kind of respond, and they're like super stoked, like, oh, cool, what we did worked. Like that's great.
Yeah,
and I really like the cloud effects, which were all. You know, this was pre-CG, so it was Douglas Turnbull who did the effects for 2001.
Yeah.
You know, the clouds forming, and then like the big mothership shows up, which is really cool. But then so the mothership is just kind of honking at them. Like they're playing the tones, and the mothership's like, brrr.
Yeah.
What I like is so they're doing it, and then the mothership starts coming back at them. And they have the one guy playing piano, or, you know, whatever synthesizer that is, playing it. And all these people are around him talking. It was driving me crazy because they're like, oh, well, you know, this is important and saying all this stuff. It's like, I'm trying to fucking do this. I'm trying to compose here and respond to this stuff. Shut up.
Yeah.
Either tell me what to play or just shut up. And then there was an almost Trading Places moment. The movie Trading Places with Dan Aykroyd and Eddie Murphy. The end of that movie, I've seen the movie several times. I could not tell you what happens in that movie. Something with the stock market. They go and doing a thing. And it's working. Hooray, they win.
Well, Statler and Waldorf are trying to short orange juice, and then they switched portfolio, so they were actually supposed to long orange juice.
See, I don't know what any of that means.
Basically, they were either supposed to bet for orange juice, and they would win a lot of money. Let's just say bet for.
Sure.
They switched their portfolios, so they bet against, and they lost all their money.
Okay. Like, I still don't understand. Like, I just don't understand the stock market.
What are you, fucking idiot?
Yeah, basically.
I just explained it to you.
But my point is
That's
so
the
like
entire stock market.
But watching it. Like, I have no idea what's going on, but things seem to be going good. Hooray. And that's how I feel about, like, when they're like, okay, he calls in some guy in a booth, one of the engineers in a booth is like, okay, we've got whatever signal they're working on, we're taking over here. And then a computer starts playing the thing back at them.
Yeah.
There's no indication of what that conversation is, other than like they're saying tones, we're saying tones. And
Oh yeah,
but you're still like hooray, because they could be like, hey, Chinese people smell funny, and then they're like, well, the computer's going like, yeah, no, I totally agree. You know, it could be something awful. We have no idea.
White people be walking like this.
But so that's
airplane peanuts be so small.
yeah, but you're just like, oh, cool, it's working, hooray!
Hack joke. That's actually what that was. It was just saying hack at them in really deep tone.
Yeah, just Jack Chick pamphlets coming out at them. But you're still just like, oh, hooray, it's happening. I'm on board with what's, and then that. So when the same thing again before the big ship shows up, the scientists aren't like, we communicated with. There's an alien life form out there. All of human history, all of religion or whatever is now turned on its head because there's other stuff out there. It's more just like, that worked, you guys. Good job.
Yeah,
like
I like
we
that
did
too,
it.
Yeah. Well, that's right. Like, because they applaud when they just got a response, and everybody walks away. It's like, fuck yeah, job well done.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. Like that's neat.
John, let's put you in a world where your dear lady friend, who will leave nameless, is kidnapped. Mm-hmm. You're concerned.
Yeah.
You're going somewhere to find her. Do you make out with someone else on a ridge?
Well,
because that was fucking awkward.
Yeah, but it's also like, that's a different thing than a child. You know what I mean?
But
no, yeah, but I understand what you're saying. Like that's again my whole thing. Where like
he's married,
largely,
and they make out before.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah,
both of you.
Roy Neary's a piece of shit.
And she's kind of a piece of shit.
Yeah, no, she's terrible. She sleeps in jean shorts. And
she has very erect nipples,
which is a sign of the devil.
So Sunday school taught me.
Yeah, no, that was just sort of this weird kind of forced thing. It was a way to kind of be like, no, like, don't worry about his family, like love. They're connected.
See, that annoyed me because I actually had the thought that it was actually refreshing that they weren't fucking like that they had time. That there wasn't some smoldering sexual attraction. There was just like these are two people on a journey, and to throw that in actually really annoyed me.
No,
like,
I agree.
That really took away from the
because it doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't pay off in any real way.
Well, actually, they had a close encounter of the seventh kind behind those rocks. You don't know what happened.
That's true, but neither of them are aliens.
Irradiated balls, son.
That's just the episode now. It's just a loop of you saying irradiated balls, son. So, well, the big mothership shows up and just honks at them.
Yeah.
And look, I get that you're Steven Spielberg, but you weren't Steven Spielberg then. The Jaws theme, fuck you. Fuck you with the Jaws theme. Like before the ship opens, it plays the Jaws theme. Okay. It goes da-dum, da-dum. Really?
No, let me bring this in. I think that's John Williams. Because John Williams is a hacky motherfucker that throws.
Could be, but Spielberg had to be like,
that's fine.
Yeah, it's like he snuck it in.
That's fine. But John Williams he does this all the time because he puts the Pinocchio theme in the ending parts of this film. He sneaks in there because they keep having that Pinocchio whatever you call that music box show up. So he snuck it into the score. The motherfucker does it like Rogue One. They kept sneaking in little bits of the original Star Wars.
Yeah, but okay, fair enough. But that's like Star Wars referencing Star Wars.
It's just stop being all sneaky. And I think that's stupid hacky John Williams. Fuck that guy. Fucking sneaky hack John Williams.
But Spielberg had to greenlight it.
More like dude, fuck you.
It feels like the bit in Armageddon. Or no, it feels like the bit in Transformers when the Transformers are Michael Bay's Transformers when the Transformers are landing and this one kid's like, oh, it's just like an Armageddon. And it's like, fuck you, Michael Bay. You don't get to do that. Like you can't be self-referential like that. That's bullshit. But it was just this little bit like, yeah, hey, Jaws, you guys love me. It didn't feel earned. You know what I mean?
No, you're fair, but I was actually just
regardless of who did it. It didn't feel
also
earned.
A lot of my John Williams thing is unfair because that's the next 30 years of his work that's actually annoyed me. So that probably was like super fresh back then.
So then it happens. The tones play, and then they release all their hostages, basically, which again, it's sort of played off as this like, oh, hooray, but it's also extremely fucked up because they stole that child.
Yeah.
So they all these the planes they found earlier, they're letting all these people off, and it's cool, but you're kind of stuck wondering like, well, what was happening? Is this one of those things where like time for them because clearly they're all still young, so it's not like they.
Oh, this was explained. It's relativity. That's what I figured.
Yeah.
Because the guy says, well, the guy goes, Einstein was right, and the other guy goes, Einstein must be one of them.
Yeah. like you were saying with taking Barry, like, so they had these guys. What more information did they need? What's happening? What sort of exchange is going on?
Well, Barry had the secrets of pants dropping Frankenstein's monster.
That's true. Like, where can I get one of those? Because that is the best toy ever.
Yeah.
So they like, oh, all these people are out. Well, this is kind of cool. And then the ship opens back up, and you see that weird spindly.
Oh, where
bag
Slender Man
monster.
shows up. Yeah.
Yeah. And then he's like, ta-da!
Yeah.
Look at all my kids.
Yeah.
And then all these little aliens come out and just stand there.
Yeah.
And I don't understand that exactly. Like, it's again, it's just an awe and like, oh, look at this or whatever. But it's more just like, so here's us.
Well, here's
Nice to see you.
my thought is I think, okay, now this is silly. Are they trading?
It seems like it because it seems like
Because there's a lineup of what I'm going to describe as Wes Anderson wet dreams
Hell
on
yes.
the left side of everybody
Hell yes.
in sweet sunglasses and red
jumpsuits.
uniforms, waiting to go on the ship.
yeah.
I just assumed that they were in
That's what it
trading
seemed like.
with all the little aliens.
Which was weird because like at no point did you have the sense, or at least the movie gave you the sense that conversation was in play. It seemed like it was like, we're going to communicate with these people. We have this squadron ready to go if they want to go.
Well, I think maybe because at one point they say like translator circuits on when they're having this
missed that.
fast back and forth. Is I was thinking maybe they'd already kind of communicated on a basic level with one another. And then this was kind of confirmation. So they had people ready to do the semester abroad program.
Right.
Yeah, that's the only thing that made sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but it didn't seem like necessarily it was like a 1-to-1 trade.
Yeah.
But it did feel like, okay, if in case they want to take people, we need to have a squadron ready to go.
Yeah.
Of just like single alcoholics that just don't care about anything.
Yeah.
With sweet sunglasses.
That all are really into like that one like obscure Rolling Stones number on a B-side off of Her Satanic Majesty's Request.
So that's when the hand stuff comes into play.
Yeah.
Because so you have these different kinds of aliens, which I also liked when all the UFOs, because when the mothership shows up, all the other UFOs are kind of called home. And then it's not just all the same ship.
Yeah.
It's a bunch of different ships. And I thought that was really kind of cool.
Oh, well, let me add in a point here, and this is wonderful. And I'm glad it wasn't in the movie, but it's such a fun idea. So the original idea for the UFOs, when they're spitballing the ideas, is that they were going to take the form of familiar objects that the aliens knew.
Mm-hmm.
So the one was showing up as literally as the McDonald's arches.
Oh, that's
Another
hilarious.
would show up looking like the Chevron logo from the Chevron gas stations. It's a whole bunch of other things. And this was kind of nodded at with the trucks where they had the Baskin Robbins and the Piggly Wiggly or whatever. And the idea was like, so it's these kind of, that's almost like a universal symbology for humans, according to them. And then it didn't work, in the rough drafts or whatever. But I thought like, oh, that's actually a really cool idea that would never work in a film, but what a great on paper idea. Yeah. And I like that little baby UFO that followed them around, like that tiny one at the end. Unless I already said that out loud, and then I apologize because I'm having a stroke and everything smells like burning almonds.
It made me think of Batteries Not Included.
Oh yeah, wonderful movie, Jessica Tandy.
So I'm trying to think because my early point. Oh, so see, there are these different kinds of aliens that you see. Because the one that's sort of like the more evolved version of the little kids that are just sort of wandering around.
Kind of proto E.T.
Yeah, Francois Truffaut goes up to him, and then like he does the hand stuff, and the alien does the hand stuff back to him. And they're like, "Hey, look, we're communicating." I guess because you just did something, and the thing did it back at you. That doesn't mean it understands anything.
Yeah.
If anyone's been watching the current season of Twin Peaks, that should tell you exactly that someone says doing something back to you means nothing, and is empty.
I don't know
and
what that means.
Well,
no, I'll put it this way. It's not like if you go, Polly want a cracker? Polly want a cracker?
Right.
I've communicated.
Yeah,
I've
the bird
broken down-
understands crackers.
I've broken down the wall between man and beast.
Yeah. It's so it was sort of this like, oh, hooray. It just felt like they're like, hey, this is kind of a cool idea. Have you heard about this thing? What if we did that?
Yeah.
Because the tones being the language, because tones operating and then putting into numbers or whatever, that makes sense. The hand thing seems really specific.
Yeah.
And it's more just like, hey, cool, they have thumbs too. So that wasn't as awe-inspiring as the movie wanted you to think it was. And then the aliens, so they decided to take Richard Dreyfuss and add him to the list of people that could possibly go on the ship.
Yeah.
Because they put him in the thing and they're like, look, this guy sucks so bad. How do we get rid of him? Let's put him on the ship.
Yeah.
And the aliens actually like, no, this guy is the one we want. for some reason, and he goes on the ship, and it's supposed to be magical. But I'm just, like I said, it's a huge win for the human race. I just hope they just probe his bunger into eternity. I'm cool with it.
And also there's no hesitation. They don't show him remotely considering he has a wife and kids. His wife actually mentions that she doesn't want to get a job. This woman is not ready to enter the workforce.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
she's raising kids.
Sexual politics aside, like, this is not you are the villain of
he's
your
a piece
family's
of shit.
story.
Because Jillian, like, she gets Barry back and it's like, no, I'm good. Like, I've had this otherworldly experience. I know there's other things out there, but like,
which I liked very much.
I got my son back and I'm here. Richard Dreyfuss is like, fuck, have you met me? I'm terrible. There's no hope of redeeming anything about me. I'm just gonna go fuck with these guys until they launch me into space. Weird.
Now let me give you a bit of a fun backstory. Steven Spielberg, or his cheap Mexican counterpart, Senor Spielberg. Do you know? So they struggle to figure out what the alien design is going to look like. One of the ideas was that he was going to dress up an orangutan,
yes,
in spandex, put it on roller skates, and that was going to be the aliens.
Yeah.
This is one of those things where sometimes I think filmmakers just get lucky, and very much Spielberg must be that, where it's just like, no, just somehow the fucking stars align every time you make a movie, because no.
Yeah, that is a terrible idea on so many levels. And the fact that the orangutan was not having it.
Yeah.
It did not like being on roller skates, oddly enough. But yeah, what a weird choice. Like, no, that's what aliens are to me.
Okay, so he gets on the apparently in the extended cut they show the inside of the ship, which sounds stupid. Okay.
That sounds terrible. Yeah.
Also, fun thing on when they show the ship entrance, you can see a tiny R2-D2 is hidden into the.
Oh, really?
Like one of those just really tiny, kind of, because I think him and Lucas kind of hide stuff back and forth.
Sure.
So he gets on the ship, and I guess they don't show it taking off, right?
No, they do. Like it.
So I
guess
they didn't leave any of the little guys behind. I guess I was wrong about that.
No, it's more just like, hey, here's us. Here's what we look like.
Yeah, that's weird. So why all of them?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, anyway, yeah. So, that's pretty much it, right?
And then they had that close encounter.
You know, I was going to say, for those that left the theater immediately, the after credit sequence where they pick up Travis Walton and then it starts the Fire in the Skyniverse.
Yeah,
man,
which we all know and love.
Yeah.
Robert Patrick is retired on.
I love the hell out of this movie.
No, it was great. It was fun.
No, sorry, we can't even finish here, John.
Yeah,
look at the fucking thing I sent you on Twitter.
It's Richard Dreyfuss building potatoes.
Now look what I circled.
It's your penis.
No, the other picture I sent.
All right, yeah, Richard Dreyfuss.
No, the lower part.
The glasses?
What the fuck are they eating for dinner?
Chicken.
No. It's just round brown things. I think they're having baked potatoes with mashed potatoes. Because they keep cutting to the center of the table. I couldn't find a clear shot of it. There's just these round brown things. It's like cartoon food. There's no shape. It looks like they're having mashed potatoes with baked potatoes.
Well, there's something in a casserole dish.
Oh yeah, that's fine. Maybe they have real food elsewhere.
And also put the milk in the fridge.
Yeah.
No, yeah, it's potatoes and potatoes.
What the fuck? I literally I made sure to pull that scene because I wasn't sure if we're gonna have enough to talk about because we enjoyed this movie that maybe we could just spend half an hour discussing what the fuck they're having for dinner. Because if you watch the whole scene, there's a few spots where they show it. It's just this cartoon food. It looks like that stuff you get with sushi sometimes, where it's like that tofu skin that's stuffed with rice.
It's like chicken nuggets, basically. It's fried chicken.
No, but they're big. They're like potato-sized chicken nuggets. There's something wrong there. So I don't know. Yeah,
that's the real story of this movie.
Yes.
No. So I'm gonna go back and watch it. Well, no, I'd have to rent it again. But you can watch it on Amazon Prime, and because there's that X-ray thing that gives you trivia, and it might tell you like what they're eating.
Yeah, because it's really weird, and I would put a bet out there that there's a website devoted to what they're having for dinner that night.
Yeah.
So yeah, now back to where I interrupted myself. I like this movie.
It's fun. I don't love it because I didn't grow up with it, so I don't have that like the same way that I have the affinity that I would have for other movies that I did. I understand people that do. It is interesting to see now compared to like the way movies are now, versus then or whatever. Since I didn't grow up with it, I don't have that like that fondness for it, and so I can only like look back at it.
Yeah,
but I did actually enjoy it. It's not a movie I want to watch again and again and again. But it is something that I've turned the 180'd on.
Yeah. And I certainly didn't grow up on it. Like, I know I saw it when I was young, but you know, it's just one of those things where I was more aware of its cultural significance. So
Yeah.
it's the first time I think as an adult I've ever like sat down and like really like watched it. But yeah, I was surprised how much I liked it. And it's one of those things where I'm like, maybe I should revisit some of Spielberg's stuff. Like maybe I've been missing out on shit.
The thing that told me that I guess prepped me for wanting to like this is I rewatched Duel at the fantastic Hollywood Theater in Portland, Oregon. I cannot recommend that place enough. They showed Duel, this one of Spielberg's like earliest, if not one of his first endeavors.
Is that with like monster trucks or something?
No,
like that?
it's basically a guy passes a truck on the highway and the truck loses its shit about it.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
Even for the 90 plus minutes that it was going, even though I got tired of the conceit, I was still fully engaged. Because so much of the movie is guy being chased by truck on a road.
Yeah.
And there's only so much you can do with that. But I'm still just like, the way it was done was so masterful that I'm still like, even though in my head I'm like, okay, get on with it, I'm still 100% engaged with the movie. And it's a fantastic film. So I'm like, okay, well maybe, you know, I kind of write off Spielberg, particularly some of his later works, that I'm like, no, but he did good stuff. Like maybe, you know, revisiting some of the stuff would be good. And so it turns out, yes.
Yeah. Though very much I'm not gonna. But like the idea did occur to me.
Sure.
Which just says something.
I mean, Jaws is Jaws. It's great. I don't think 1941 or whatever is going to hold up and be like, oh no, it turns out that movie's awesome.
The thing about Jaws is I've watched it recently and pretty much if Quint's not on camera, I don't give a shit. Like, boy, everybody else in that movie is uninteresting to me.
Do you know in the book, Roy Scheider's wife has an affair with Richard Dreyfuss's character?
Yes, I did know that. Yeah. And in the book sequel, she fucks the shark.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Then they have shark babies?
Yes, it's the close encounter of the seventh kind.
Then it becomes the street sharks. Do you remember those guys?
That's right. Yeah. All right, so John, next episode.
Yes.
We are going to watch the very famous and well-known movie from 1987. A James Bondish spy and his female assistant infiltrate a group of South American Nazis who have kept Hitler alive until they can take over the something using the ultimate weapon in HD. And I say the something because on the YouTube description, there's an ellipsis for no good reason.
Sure.
Because why wouldn't there be? We're going to watch The Order of the Black Eagle.
Yes. And this is exciting because we really earned this. Like this is a treat for us because after having suffered through Suicide Squad and then just trudging through a movie that we actually both enjoyed.
Yeah.
This is going to be just I don't know what this is going to be. It's going to be terrible is what it's
Yeah,
gonna be.
it is. This is on recommendation of one of my friends who said we should watch this. I know nothing about it other than the description sounded funny. And I thought it would be a nice follow-up to, you know, this well-heralded, like, classic of American cinema, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, to follow it up with The Order of the Black Eagle.
Oh, boy.
Because,
here we go.
Yeah, nothing's better than people who kept Hitler alive in Argentina or South America.
That's you saying that. I am not agreeing to that, for the record.
Well, I don't mean in real life. I meant in movies. It's fun.
Mm-hmm.
Like The Boys from Brazil.
For the record, love everyone of all races, creeds, sex. I'm the good one. Remember that.
Yeah, well, when your face is up against the wall, my rain finally comes. Remember that which one of us actually decided to take a side.
Goodbye, listeners. Goodbye.
Well, first we had to get some. All right. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.